Hey y'all, Mike with Cardboard Kingdom. Welcome to the August 2024 Disney Lorcana monthly market recap video. A few days later than anticipated. I apologize. We had a busy Labor Day weekend. Overestimated or underestimated how much free time I would have. Also caught some allergies and lost my voice for a little bit. So still pretty nasally right now. I apologize for that, but we got to get back on the grindstone. We've been trying to get this video out for several days, and it just hasn't worked. So with that being said, we are going to get into it. I do have my Chiefs gear on the day that this video will be posted. It is the NFL kickoff. The Ravens will be here in attendance at Arrowhead to kick off against the Chiefs. Should be a very special night. Gonna reveal another banner. We have a B-2 bomber flying over. Rob Riggle's gonna be there. It's gonna be a whole thing. I'm a proud season ticket holder for the Chiefs. Been a season ticket holder for a long time. So you guys have to bear with me in my Chiefs gear for this video and a few others as well. With that being said, getting into the market, I think the agenda for today's video, we're going to hit all of the same cards we hit last time for the July monthly market recap. Well, we also added in the D24 Mickey Mouse, or the D23 2024 Mickey Mouse, because I'm very interested in tracking that card. It's a card that I have my eyes on. We also added in the D23 sealed collector's box, the 2024 version, because I want to track that as well. We're going to go over some sales that I made for this month. We're going to go over some purchases that I made for this month, and then give kind of some general thoughts throughout the video as we're going through the individual cards. So with that being said, probably going to be a pretty long video. Sit back, relax, and let's get to it. First and foremost, have to start with the Elsa. I think the key takeaway here is we've seen this continual retrace decrease in pricing. It's getting smaller and smaller. It held pretty steady for most of the cards month over month, but we did still see them downturn a little bit. The market prices on TCG Play right now are very wonky. Excuse me. They are like right now, I think the market price for the Elsa, it showed like 870 or 80, and there wasn't even a card that was like listed that low. And that's been the same sentiment for a lot of the cards. You can't get a near mint copy for what it shows the market prices. So I kind of guesstimated where to put it. Don't hold me, don't hold my feet to the fire over the market prices that I have listed here. There definitely is kind of some guesstimation going on there because TCG Player is just completely out of whack. So with that being said, market price is around 900. Low sale for the month was 675. High sale for the month was 854 for a raw copy. We did see the population count increase by about 100. PSA 10 gem mint rate went down 1%, which was also a common trend. I think we're going to start to see PSA get a little bit more. They're going to grade more harshly whenever they're looking at these Lorcana cards, similar to what we've seen on like the vintage high-end Pokemon side of things. As these cards have increased in value, the gem mint rate for the cards have dropped dramatically. There's a direct correlation between how often they get a gem mint grade and their price and what PSA would have to pay out if something were to happen. And so I think we're going to continue to see this trend. It's kind of, we've seen a 1% dip across a lot of the cards that we're going to look at today. I would not be surprised if we see that to continue in the future here. With that being said, PSA 10 high sale 1,150, low sale rather. High sale 1,375. Both of those down. Low sale down 100. High sale down around 225. I am still of the mindset that if you can get a raw Elsa for 675 or around there with the gem mint rate of 70%, I prefer to go the raw route here and pick it up and grade it myself, because if you submit 10, most likely 7 of them are going to get 10s. With that being said, I do think they are going to grade a little bit harsher, and I think the 1,150 price point isn't bad for a PSA 10 copy, because you've got to think the PSA 10s were going for over 2,000. The raw copies were getting close to 1,500 when we were in kind of the peak of the bull market. And then since then it's kind of decreased. So I have Elsa as a buy, and I have a lot of the cards as a buy. We definitely have some holds and sells as well. But I think that at the end of the day, there's no rush to pick up the Elsa. If you're looking to add it to your collection, I think we have time. Your guess is as good as mine in terms of like timing the market. If it's a card you want to add to your collection, I think the current price today is fine. Could it go a little bit lower? Sure. At the end of the day, when I'm like applying my lens to this, I am definitely looking at a very long time horizon here. And so the 675 on the low end, 854 on the high end, picking up a gem mint copy for 1,150, like those all make sense. I probably wouldn't pay 1,400 for a PSA 10 right now, but I think in general the Elsa is at a very good price. It's retraced 30, 40, sometimes even 50% from all-time highs. Moving into the Cinderella Ballroom Sensation, market price is about $250 right now. Low sale of $200 for a near mint copy. There was only one sale anywhere near that low. High sale at $249. We have the PSA 10 pop did go up by about 30. The gem mint rate did go down by 1% once again, down to 45% for this particular card. 533 was our PSA 10 low sale. 650 was our PSA 10 high sale. This is one that I think would make sense to go out and get in a PSA 10 copy if you can. It did spike quite a bit month over month in terms of the August numbers versus July, but I think 533 for this card in a PSA 10 copy does make sense. When we look at the market price of 250, I just think that it's going to grade very poorly, and if you can just skip that step and get a PSA 10 copy, it makes a lot of sense. Obviously, once again, a card that I think has a lot of prominence long term. From set 2, most likely the most underprinted set. Iconic IP, fantastic art, playable card. It's got anything that could be going for a card. It's got it. Grades very hard. So I'm a huge fan of this card. I think picking up a raw card at anywhere near 200 is a steal, and I think that picking up a gem mint copy for 533 would be a good decision. Moving over to the Stitch Carefree Surfer. Market price for this card is about $255. Low sale $239, high sale $265. Very tight spread there, not a lot of volume. I think that this is one of the most gorgeous cards in Lorcana. The colors on this card pop so much in person. I think it's an awesome character. It's an awesome art. I just love everything that's going on with the card. You got the wave down in the text box. I think the artist did a fantastic job with this card. It just looks tremendous. The PSA 10 count is at 809, went up about 30 to 40. Gem mint rate went down 1%. PSA 10 low sale was 473. PSA 10 high sale was 625, down a little bit from July's numbers. And once again, guys, I'm not trying to, hide that there's been a continual decrease in the pricing, anything like that. It's just kind of the same story, right? So I don't necessarily just want to continue saying it over and over again. Most of these cards have seen a small decrease or downturn from where they were in July. That's just the current state of the market. If you have any fear due to that, or you want to get out, reach out to me. We can work out a deal. But at the end of the day, I just think it's normal market conditions. Nothing that I'm necessarily fearful of overall. Nothing has really changed with the fundamentals. Overall, I think the Stitch is in a great spot if you do want to go out and acquire this card. This is one that was selling for around $500 in a near mint copy, now down around $255 and holding pretty strong there. You can see how tight the margins are. Probably going to be what you're going to have to pay for it, and I think right now is a great time to add it to your collection if you are looking to do so. Following it up with its counterpart here, Stitch Rockstar, probably my favorite card from a collector's point of view right now in Lorcana. Market price is about $334 right now. Low sale for the month was $255. High sale was $390. Still a pretty decent spread there. Still a lot of volatility with this card as the market shakes out where it's going to kind of end and then start to trend up. I think this is going to be one of the first cards that does bounce back, whether that's to get up to 400, 500, 600, I don't know. But I do think this is a card that's just going to hold so much prominence, and it's going to kind of, if anything's going to start the next cycle, I think this could definitely be a card that does so. PSA 10 pop is still under 400, up at 396. Still gets a gem mint grade 45% of the time. This is a card that was going for over 2,000 consistently in a PSA 10 copy. It is now at 730, which I think is a great purchase price. High sale was around 1,000. There were some sales above 1,000. They look kind of questionable on eBay, so I didn't put them in because there was some for like 1,300 and 1,400, but they looked like they were fudging the numbers a little bit. So overall, I think the Stitch is in a great spot. I remain strong with my buy recommendation here. I have multiple copies of this card, and I just think it's going to hold a lot of significance. If Lorcana continues to deliver and we go down the same path that we're on right now with the continual growth of the game and bringing in the new collectors and new players, I think this is going to be a card that people are going to be chasing for a long time. So, with that being said, moving over to the other set championships card, this is one that's kind of getting into my buy range in terms of pricing. Low sale of $93 for this set championship card. So, anytime I think that we're going to be able to get the Ursula under 100 is a really, really good buy price. We're starting to see that pretty consistently. The market price right now is about 100. I think it's got a little bit more room here to come down, and then I'm going to be hammering it. So, at about 100, I still haven't pulled the trigger. I do not own any yet, so I would say it's probably like a hold at 100. Once it gets down into that 90 range, if I can acquire some at 90, then it's going to be in a kind of a snap buy for me. If I start to see it turn up, I don't think there's going to be any major influx from here on out. So if I do see it start to kind of trend up above 100, I'll probably go ahead and pull the trigger. But right now, I'm waiting patiently around that $90 price point. There is up to 41 PSA 10 copies. 34% gem mint rate, a card that is very, very hard to grade, a card that also is going to have additional provenance, not as much as the Stitch, but when you think to the third set champs that are going to be coming up, the Mirabelle is going to have 8 copies available versus the Stitch and the Ursula only had 4. So there's, half or less of the overall population of this particular card, even more or even less of the Stitch card, but overall I think these are cards that are going to hold a lot of provenance. Not as much as the Stitch, once again, but I think this under $100 for a set championship card, I think is a very, 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 very fair price to pay to acquire this card. Moving over to a card that's probably seen the most significant downturn in the month of August, Ursula, Deceiver of All. Market price is down about $50. Low sale was down at 185. High sale was at 230. This card was selling for over 300 even back in just July. PSA 10 pop report did go up by about 25. Gets a gem mint grade about half the time. PSA 10 low sale was $245. Shout out to whoever got this in a PSA 10 copy for $245. It grades very poorly. There's not that many of them, and this card was selling for over 300 raw for months at a time. PSA 10 high sale was $395, so still a very good price. I think that this card is kind of in a unique situation. It's very playable, so I don't think that it's necessarily a grading play right now. But if you can pick up a gem mint copy for $245 to add to your collection, it's still the chase card from the Inklings. It's the highest price enchanted still. I think it's in a really good spot. Once again, it is very playable, so that's going to drive the price, but it clearly has came down significantly. So this card's just in a really weird spot. This card has by far seen the most of a downturn when it comes from July to August, just month by month. The Ursula is just not performing well over that time, so it's kind of been like a buy to hold place for me. I have a copy that I have not graded yet. I will be getting it graded. But at the end of the day, it's kind of just a hold for me right now. Not something I'm looking to part with, especially after this significant downturn. It's just odd to me that, and we're still, Lorcana's so new that we're still identifying these trends and what can kind of happen with these cards after they've been on the market for a while. This card had a $300 market price for months, and it was being actively bought in that range, high 200s, low 300s. You fast forward a month, it's going from a market price of $262 with a sale that got down to $219 to now that's the market price, right? So it kind of shows how quick these can turn. I was always, to be honest, it was always kind of overrated to me as a chase card for a particular set. Like when you compare it against like the Alice or the Snow White or the Elsa or the Belle, or looking even to Ursula's Return with the Ariel, Shimmering Skies, the Mufasa. Like when you're talking like the top cards of the sets, I would put Ursula probably at the back of that list, maybe in competition with Ariel. But at the end of the day, I think that it's probably honestly came down to a price that's pretty reasonable for the card. A new addition to the tracker, the D23 2024 Mickey Mouse promo. This is a card that I do not have yet that I will be following very closely. These D23 promos are just awesome. It's the first one that's got the golden nameplate, which is cool. It's got the awesome art for the Playful Sorcerer. It's the traditional art with the traditional text box, but it does have the enchanted foil on it, which is kind of just another cool, feather in the cap of this particular card. So definitely one that I'll be looking for. I think we're on a hold right now. I want to see what continues to shake out for this particular card. Market price is at $210. The low sale is at 170 for the month, high sale at 230. So it's still kind of figuring out where it wants to be, where the market's going to value it. I'm hoping to get one closer to that 170 price point, so I'm definitely holding right now. And once again, this is very similar to the card that we talked about earlier. I can't remember what it was now, that if it starts to kind of skyrocket up, I'll probably become a buyer for it. This is kind of the same vein as what we were talking about earlier, where if it does start to kind of get out of that 200 price range and does start to exceed the Ursula card, because I don't think there's going to be a significant increase in supply on the market here. This is one that definitely could see an increase quicker than the Ursula. So I'll definitely be probably looking to pick up the Ursula first, because I just don't, that card's been out for longer than this card has, and I just don't think there's that many of the Ursulas out there. Not that there's a ton of Lees either, but I just, my order of operations would be the Ursula, then this card. I do think this card is going to have a ton of provenance long term, and I think it's a great card to add to your collection. Would not fault anyone for prioritizing this card over the Ursula, because I think this card probably will ultimately be priced higher than that card. But it also, the Ursula costs about half as much at this point too. Do already have a PSA 10 pop of 67, which was kind of surprising. Gem mint rate at 76% of the time. Very easy to grade card. Low sale is 510 for a PSA 10 copy. High sale at 1,225. Ladies and gentlemen, this is why you never want to be the high bidder on an early PSA return of a hype card. This person paid 1,225. Right now, they could go out and buy 6 copies for that price. Grade them, they're probably going to have 5 10s. And that would be for the same cost. So I've preached it a lot. Do not fumble into these cards. Patience is a virtue. Patience is your friend. 1,225 is light money on fire. This card is not worth that much money, especially not yet. Talk to me in 5-10 years, maybe. Right now, it is not a $1,000 card. So, with that being said, getting over to some of the sealed stuff, guys. The first chapter it's been a very weird month. We've creeped up to that 240 price range quite a bit. As soon as we do, we see this huge influx, whether it's Ravensburger selling first chapter boxes on Amazon, getting botted up, and then those people coming to the market with them, or people who just aren't willing to withstand the test of time for sealed. They maybe bought it at 200, 220, and now they waited 3 months and they're like, all right, this thing's, it's like the meme that's like the stick poking it. It's like, do something. I feel like that's how a lot of people are with first chapter. Look, we're a year into this. We're 6 months past the reprint. This is very, very traditional for it to take this much time. It's going to take longer, and so if you don't have the patience, the sealed game is it's not an easy game. I feel like sealed collectors don't get enough credit, because it is not easy to not open these boxes, right? Especially if you're not able to like wrap them up, keep them safe, and put them away. You can't leave sealed around me. If I have sealed within sight, like, I'm gonna rip it. Like, that's just how it is. So like I said, I have to like take the time to package it up, box it up, and just put it away where I can forget about it. It's not my day to day, and it can kind of be wiped from the slate, if you will, because collecting sealed takes a lot of self-control. Because every time you look at it, you're just thinking, is that chase card in there? I bet that's the case that has the chase card in it. And so a lot of people don't have the self-control or the ability to kind of get it out of their sight, etc., to continue to keep it sealed. So if you are a sealed collector and you're able to do that, no problem. Kudos to you. I definitely struggle with it, and that's why I have to keep them out of sight, out of mind. Market price for the box remains the same month over month. Low sale and high sale are pretty much in the same range as well. Look, your guess is as good as mine is when the first chapter is finally going to sell out and it's finally going to get to that breakthrough point. I think that once we get past 240 and we finally get to 250 and 260, I think that it's going to be a very escalated run up from there. But at the end of the day, your guess is as good as mine is when that's going to happen. Because for the last 4 months, we creep back up to 240, and then a huge supply increase comes in. And it's happened time and time again. So when is that going to stop? I don't know. Right now, I'm just holding firm on my chapter 1. I'm not acquiring anymore. I had a couple of people reach out, I gave them an offer, they didn't accept it. I've got as much chapter 1 as kind of as much capital as I want to have allocated there. In the sealed front, I have my playset of all of the I have my playset, so I have 4 of every copy in the card. I have the enchanteds, I have the sealed. Like, I'm done with the first chapter, and so I'm not really looking at it too much. I'm going to continue to update it, right, because it's a a keystone of the Lorcana collecting universe. But at the end of the day, it's not something that I'm looking to acquire any more of right now. I think that your guess is as good as mine in terms of timing it. If you can get a case for the 784 range, I say go for it. If you can get an individual box for the 205, 210 range, I think that's perfectly fine. Expected value on this box is around $210 right now, so I think it's very fairly priced. High sale for the month was 240. Once again, that's kind of the peak that we get to. Then that huge supply increase comes in. If you can get a box of first chapter for 210, whether that's to open and chase an enchanted or whether that's to keep sealed, I think that that is a very, very good spot to be. And if you need some first chapter, now is the time to get it. I'm very, very excited to see what's going to happen with Rise of the Floodborn here over the coming months, or not months, but weeks rather. So there was over Labor Day weekend, there was a 30% off site-wide Disney sale going on. That sale also applied to Lorcana. It wasn't a Lorcana specific sale, it was a site-wide sale. But you could get Rise of the Floodborn booster boxes at MSRP with 30% off that price. They were already creeping up to 150 on TCG Player. You can see a market price for a case is 600. That's essentially 150 a box. I got them shipped to my door. They haven't delivered yet. I bought them. They're not here yet. But $100 essentially per box shipped to my door for set 2. That's a pretty disgusting price. I know that I am not the only one that did it. I know there were a ton of people that did it. I put it in the Discord. I know some people got it there. People were messaging me on Twitter about it. People were commenting on my video. So I know it was well known within the community. You could get these boxes at 30% off. Now, what does that do, in 4 or 5 days when all these shipments come in of people who bought 20 boxes, 30, 40 boxes, or even just their case, etc. What does that do to the price? I don't know. So that's why I would say right now, Floodborn is definitely a hold for me at the current market price because we're kind of hitting all-time highs for this product. And I think that this sale from the Disney store is gonna run it back down a little bit, whether that's to the 120 range, 130 range, I don't know. But I would just be very cautious about buying Rise of the Floodborn right now because I think in the coming days we're going to see an influx and we're going to see the price drop. Same goes for the individual booster box. 150 market price, 130 low sale, 150 high sale. I've said it time and time again. It's got awesome chase cards in the set. It's got the Cinderella, it's got the Alice, it's got the Snow White. It also has cards that are very hard to grade in set 2 versus set 1. It kind of gets overshadowed by the first chapter. I think all in all, the Rise of the Floodborn is a very, very underrated set in general. I think that it's got some legs long term and definitely want to have some sealed products for that box. And then last but not least, guys, for the kind of market updates or the product specific updates, then we'll get into my buys and sales and just kind of some general thoughts. Market price for this box is around $250, low sale of $172, high sale of $324. Very similar to the Ursula Set Champs card, very similar to the other card, the Mickey Mouse, the D23 2024 Mickey Mouse. This is one that I'm eyeballing very closely because I think that this product is one that once it starts going up, we're not gonna in this immediate short term, we could see kind of a restock or a resupply come from the people. I mean, I saw someone leaving with a shopping cart full of these. So there's plenty out there. And I think that all of that supply is going to hit the market once we start to see it plateau a little bit. And so I'm hoping that once we get to this 250 price point, and really right now they're anywhere between like 230 to 250. I'm hoping that it stagnates there a little bit and the scalpers start to come in and offload back closer to that 200 price point. I got a couple boxes at the 180 range, but this is a product that I think is just going to have a lot of legs long term. It's a collector specific product. It's got awesome cards in it, unique art. It's got the enchanted foil over them, the brave little Taylor, the Cindy. Like it's got a lot going for it, and so I want to just make sure I have quite a few that are sealed and stowed away. Obviously, I want to have one to display. I want to have one to just open the cards and have in my binder. And so overall, I'm very excited for this product. So with that being said, that's going to round out the actual numbers portion of the video today. I am going to get into some of my purchases for this month, which will start fitting that we just ended with that. We have our D23 collector's boxes. So this is what the box looks like. It's got all of the arts from the cards kind of embossed on the box. And then on the back, you can see the actual cards that are inside. It's got some really cool text here that you can read. So that is kind of the first purchase that I made this month. Getting into some individual cards. I didn't purchase all of these cards. Purchased some of them. Opened some of them. But overall, these are just cards that I added to my collection this month. You guys have enjoyed kind of seeing the more collecting side of things, which is my passion. So figured I would show some of these off. First and foremost, we have the Beast. Picked up another Beast. I'm a huge fan of this card. Not the most valuable card. I think the artwork is sick. And so I think we have 3 or 4 of these now. We opened one. We bought one. Overall, I just am a fan of that card. I buy things that I like. The Genie, we purchased a Genie as well. This is the second print version. Does not have the sword error, but we got a really good deal on it. Sub $100 and just couldn't really pass up on it. We did acquire an additional Alice. Someone reached out looking to sell one. They gave me a very good price on it, and it's in very, very good condition. Very, very confident that we're going to get a PSA 10 on that one. So that's very cool. I picked up a couple half Hexwell crowns. The first confetti foil card, they're very cheap now. They're a couple bucks. I just, stuff like this that in the moment they're very cheap, I just think are very cool. First confetti foil. It's not the most iconic IP, the most iconic item, but it's just a gorgeous card, right? The cold foil pattern on this card, you can't really see it because it's double sleeved, but I'm all about it. It's a cool card. So I did buy a couple locations, Belle's house and Ariel's grotto. I'm fortunate enough to not yet open an enchanted location. It's going to be a gut punch when I do. I know it's coming, but at the end of the day, I do want to just have like a copy of these. They're not the best enchanted by any means, but I don't know. They're still shiny cardboard, and I like it, and they're very, very cheap. So we went out and got a couple of those. Did open the Clarabelle from our Simmering Skies case, which was nice. Awesome card, very playable. I had mentioned this in some of my market videos. I have this card listed on TCG Player for 180. If it sells, it will be the first time I've ever sold a raw enchanted. It's a very good card. It's very clean. At the end of the day, it's very playable. And so if someone wants to pay 180 for it to add it to their deck, who am I to not oblige? It would be a gut punch to sell one, but at the end of the day, that's why I have it listed high. If someone's willing to pay it, fair enough. If not, I will gladly hold on to it. We did purchase a Simba as well. We sold a PSA 10 Simba this month, very early August. We sold one for, I think it was $327 was the final sale. We sent it to auction. It was a 10-day auction, and it ended at $327. So we went out and acquired another raw copy for around $100. Overall, the card is in fantastic shape. Very, very happy with the quality that we got from that purchase. We did pick up a couple promos, some of the very, very rare promos as it relates to the Pop Report. I think that these promos have a lot of legs long term, once again, from a pure collector's point of view. So that is kind of what we bought this month, guys. Got your promos, you got some set 2 enchanted, you got your Shimmering Skies, you got some locations, some half Hexwell crowns that are, once again, they're a couple bucks. Nothing crazy, not trying to flex. Just cards that I like, cards that I think make sense to have a couple copies of. Simba, I'm a huge fan of that card. Genie, etc. We got the D23 2024 collector's box. And then we also found a really good deal for a Shimmering Skies box. So we'll be opening that for the channel here shortly. The wrap on this is actually kind of loose now that I'm looking at it. Hopefully no tampering there, but yeah, I think we're fine. It's just a little bit looser than normal, but I'm not worried about it. Came from a credible seller. So with that being said, guys, I think that is going to wrap up the August monthly market recap for the Disney Lorcana side of things. Once again, just to kind of end on some general thoughts, I guess. I think that the market downturn has kind of continued. It's, you know, a couple percentage overall, I would say, in terms of the dollars that we saw come down. At the end of the day, guys, the fundamentals haven't changed. If Ravensburger starts pointing the ship in the wrong direction or starts making consistent bad decisions that I feel like are bad signs for the future, I'll be the first to let you guys know my thoughts. Right now, nothing's changed. The game's growing like crazy. Shimmering Skies was a massive success. They're catering to the collectors with boxes like this. I just think they're knocking it out of the park. And I think that a lot of the people like Rudy and people who really bash on Lorcana are just not, you know, I think they just have a blind spot for it. A lot of people hate Disney. And I've said multiple times, like, I'm not the hugest, like, biggest Disney guy. Like, I wasn't going to the parks growing up. I live in the Midwest. Like, you know, I like a lot of the movies. Don't really have a core connection to the IP itself. A lot of the IPs, a lot of them I do. But at the end of the day, I just think they are executing at a very high level. Now that could change, right? And so we have to kind of stay nimble. But at the end of the day, I think that they're doing a very, very good job, and I'm very, very excited for the future of the game. And I'm just happy to be here with you guys. Happy with the way the channel's doing overall. I think August was a tremendous month. Happy to get into football season. Happy to get into fall. Happy to get into September, and see how this year ends. Because I don't know when the next bull cycle is going to come. Are we going to have another 6 months of this? We're going to have another year, 5 years? I don't know. All I know is I'll be here, and I hope you guys are too. So with that being said, we will end the video there. Thank you very much for watching. And yeah, we'll be back with another video soon.